There are encounters that change everything. People who appear in our lives with a force that seems to have been written in the stars. But how can you know if this someone truly is the chosen one? How do you distinguish a passing connection from a meeting scripted by the collective unconscious, as Carl Jung would put it? When the universe manifests itself through synchronicities, symbols, and premonitions, we are not merely in love, we are responding to a profound call to transformation. This script will reveal 3 essential clues that indicate this man did not enter your life by chance, and that he carries a mission aligned with your journey of individuation. Are you ready to look beyond appearances and hear what your unconscious has been trying to show you all along? Comment below, I choose to recognize the signs of the universe. From the perspective of Carl Jung's analytical psychology, meaningful romantic encounters are no mere coincidences. They carry symbols, mirror archetypes, and are often direct manifestations of the individuation process, the psychic journey toward wholeness. When someone enters your life with a deep impact, he may represent far more than just an emotional partner. He may be the awakener of dormant parts of your psyche. The shadow, for example, is the sum of everything we repress or ignore within ourselves. When a man arrives and evokes intense reactions, both positive and conflicting, he may be reflecting aspects of your shadow back to you. Projection, likewise, is an unconscious mechanism wherein we place onto another what we have yet to acknowledge as part of ourselves. Jung maintained that we can only truly love once we remove these projections and see the other as he is, and ourselves with clarity. Another fundamental concept is the animus, the image of the inner masculine in a woman's psyche. A man who seems chosen by the universe may actually embody this internal archetype. If he sparks growth, awareness, and confrontation with deep truths in you, that's a sign the relationship has an initiatory role in your evolution. Finally, synchronicity is the language of the invisible. If signs, coincidences, and intuitions mark this encounter, Jung would say you stand before a revelation of the collective unconscious in alliance with your personal destiny. These meetings are invitations, not guarantees. Recognizing the signs is the first step to integrating this man into your true journey of transformation. When an encounter happens with overwhelming force, we often interpret it as the ultimate romantic sign. But intensity carries a far deeper meaning within Jungian psychology. Jung teaches that what most attracts or deeply disturbs us in another person is in fact tied to our own shadow. The shadow is the hidden side of the psyche, what we deny, repress, or simply ignore. Often the man chosen by the universe functions as a mirror for this unrecognized content. He may provoke extreme feelings, sudden passion, inexplicable desire, a connection that feels like it spans lifetimes. Yet he may also stir fear, resistance, and unease. When he arrives, it is common for an emotional earthquake to follow. Everything within you shifts. This is a strong indication that something unconscious has been stirred. He might embody qualities you admire and long for, but have not yet integrated. Or he may express exactly what you fear and try to avoid. In any case, the visceral reaction is the clue. Psychic material is being activated. The shadow is not necessarily negative. Above all, it is unconscious and therefore powerful. If you've spent your life avoiding your anger, for instance, you might fall for someone assertive, direct, even aggressive. If you struggle with your own sensuality, this man may be intensely sexual, awakening both desire and fear of surrender. And if you've always wanted to control everything, perhaps he arrives precisely to break that structure, demanding from you the release of ego, flow, and abandonment. Jung said, "We become what we fear most." It is in these intense encounters that we get the chance to confront what we've repressed for so long. That is why love, through Jung's lens, is not merely an emotion, it is a gateway to the soul. If you feel this man unsettles you, challenges you, forces you to question everything, it may not be a warning sign, but one of depth. He may be guiding you inward, even if uncomfortably so. Such a connection, when lived consciously, has the power to reveal who you truly are. More than that, it shows what still needs to be transformed within you. When we look at another with the eyes of the unconscious, we stop seeking only security, affection, or romance, and begin to see the mirror he represents. At that point, the encounter ceases to be merely personal and becomes archetypal, enacting a universal, timeless movement of integration. If this man pulls you out of your comfort zone, makes you revisit old wounds, or propels you toward the new, he is likely embodying your shadow, and that is the universe's invitation, not a punishment. His intensity is not just chemistry or destiny, it is symbol. It is the unconscious saying, here is something you need to see. It does not mean the relationship will last forever, nor that he is your happily ever after. It means he is a key that opens doors inside you. Therefore, when a man enters your life and everything changes, don't run. Observe, feel, investigate. Intensity can indicate that something ancient, profound, and true is emerging. And in this process, you are not merely relating to someone, you are finding yourself. The universe's true choice is the one that awakens you to yourself. Recognizing the shadow in another is the first step to bringing light to your own path. In Carl Jung's analytical psychology, the animus archetype represents the masculine principle in a woman's psyche. It is not just an image or idea, it is an inner force shaping thoughts, choices, dreams, and relationships. When a man appears in your life with impact and seems chosen by the universe, he may actually be mirroring this unconscious animus, making visible something that until then existed only inside you. The animus has many faces. In its most primitive stages, it can take the form of a critical, oppressive, rigid, or idealizing force. It is the internalized voice of authority that dictates what must or must not be done. It can lead you to project onto a partner the image of a savior, a guide, or someone who supposedly has all the answers. When such projection occurs, you believe the other has a messianic role in your life, making you vulnerable to unbalanced relationships. As a woman psychologically matures and begins to integrate her animus consciously, it transforms. It becomes a bridge to fulfillment, discernment, and inner autonomy. The man who appears at this stage does not come to complete or guide you, but to mirror your already awakened strength. He does not trigger fear, dependency, or illusion, but resonance. He confirms what is already alive in you. When the animus remains unconscious, encountering a striking man tends to create confusion, emotional loss of control, and an obsession that defies logic. You feel you need him to exist. He seems to carry something missing in you. This is common in the early phases of individuation, when we project potentials onto another instead of owning them ourselves. In such cases, the external male figure becomes a symbol of what we have yet to recognize in ourselves: courage, presence, direction, intellect, action in the world. But when the animus is more conscious, the man who appears may inspire wonder and admiration, yet not dominate your will. He inspires without manipulating. He connects without capturing. He engages with an already awakened part of you, and that is one of the clearest clues that the universe is operating not to lead you into dependency, but toward integration. The central question then is not just, what do I feel for him, but rather, what does he awaken in me? If this man sparks in you strength, discernment, and the will to grow and be more fully yourself, he is in tune with your integrated animus. But if he breeds anguish, the need for approval, the silencing of your voice, and excessive idealization, he is likely only representing a projection of the unconscious animus. And here lies a dilemma. The same man may be liberating for one woman and imprisoning for another. Everything depends on the stage of her psyche. Jung asserted that inner work with the animus is essential for a woman to become whole. Often relationships are the arena where this work reveals itself. The man chosen by the universe may not be someone with whom you build a traditional love story. Sometimes he appears only to activate your hidden potential, challenge you to stand up for yourself, and invite you to no longer depend on external forces. In that sense, he plays an initiatory role, even if the relationship does not unfold as the ego desires. Thus, faced with a man who impacts you deeply, the wiser question is not whether he loves you, but whether he helps you love yourself more. Does his presence illuminate your path or distance you from yourself? The true one chosen by the universe is the one who converses with your soul and awakens in you what was dormant but always yours. In Jungian analytical psychology, projection is one of the most common and treacherous phenomena in love relationships. It happens when we attribute to another qualities, feelings, and intentions that actually originate within us. In the early stages of a relationship, especially when the connection is intense, We project onto the other not who he truly is, but who we wish him to be. That is when we often confuse destiny with fantasy, synchronicity with neediness, and truth with illusion. When a woman says she feels a man is chosen by the universe, that claim must be explored deeply. What exactly is being felt? Is it genuine admiration for who he is in his wholeness, with light and shadow? Or is it enchantment with an image unconsciously constructed to fit your unrealized desires, childhood wounds, or hope of rescue? Projection is not a mistake, it is inevitable. But when it goes unrecognized, it becomes dangerous because we end up living not with the real person, but with a fantasized idea of who he could be. Real love only becomes possible when projection begins to dissolve. Jung said, "The meeting of two personalities is like the contact of two chemical substances. If there is a reaction, both are transformed. But for that to happen, we must see the other as he is, not as we wish him to be. This requires presence, time, observation, and above all, a willingness to abandon the ideal in favor of the real." There are some clues that help us notice when we're projecting. One is the sense of absolute certainty without a concrete basis. If you barely know the man but already believe he is everything you've ever wanted, that signals possible projection. Another clue is an exaggerated fear of losing him, as if he were your last chance at happiness. That reveals an expectation of salvation rather than a genuine connection. Also watch for the tendency to justify harmful behaviors in the name of a spiritual bond. When you romanticize absences, excuse inconsistent actions, or cling to subtle signs while ignoring facts, projection is at work. Conversely, truth begins to emerge when there is room for the other to be himself without jeopardizing your self-esteem. When you can acknowledge your partner's flaws without idealizing him or trying to change him. When there is emotional reciprocity, mutual respect, and growth in both directions. The man truly aligned with your individuation journey is not the one who perfectly fits your dreams, but the one who walks beside you with humanity and presence. It is important to remember that the process of disillusionment is part of building mature love. Disillusionment here means freeing yourself from illusion, not losing magic. On the contrary, it is in this liberation that true connection reveals itself. When you look at the other and see his limitations, yet choose to remain present, you move out of projection and into reality. That reality, when conscious, is far more powerful than any fantasy. Jung invites us to see that each person who enters our life is both symbol and human being. He may represent something vital to our psyche, but he also has his own choices, free will, and journey. Distinguishing projection from truth means accepting that the other is not here to complete us, but to share part of our path. If you feel this man helps you grow, does not demand you erase yourself to be with him, and you sense a mutual truth unfolding, then perhaps he really is connected to something greater. But if everything depends on keeping alive an idealized image, then the universe may not be speaking. It may be your own neediness disguised as spirituality. To love consciously is to see the other as he is, and still recognize how deeply he transforms you. That is the real miracle. Among the most fascinating concepts in Carl Jung's analytical psychology is synchronicity, the idea that events connect not by cause and effect, but by meaning. In other words, significant coincidences reveal a hidden order at work in reality, manifesting just when we are in touch with deep aspects of the unconscious. When a person enters our life accompanied by signs, dreams, repetitions, and premonitions, synchronicity is likely at play, and the universe truly is trying to tell us something. Synchronicity is not forced, it is perceived. It requires inner listening, sensitivity, and presence. Often the signs appear subtly, a song playing at the exact moment you think of him, an intense dream filled with symbolic images before ever meeting, improbable meetings, situations that seem arranged by invisible intelligence. It is not superstition or magical thinking. Jung saw this as expressions of the collective unconscious, the layer of the psyche that connects us all, where archetypal symbols take shape. When you sense someone's arrival is wrapped in synchronicity, the first question is not, is this real? But what does this want to show me about myself? Because the meaning of a synchronistic event lies not in the other person, but in what it awakens in you. The universe speaks when you are ready to listen, and listening means acknowledging what your own unconscious is trying to bring into consciousness. It is common to confuse synchronicity with obsession. Repeated thoughts about someone, the constant search for signs, interpreting everything as confirmation of a predestined love, often mask anxiety. True synchronicity comes with a sense of peace, a deep intuition, a quiet recognition, not restlessness. It arises when you are aligned with your inner truth, not when you are trying to control external events. The presence of synchronicities in a relationship may indicate it is part of a larger calling. That does not mean the relationship will last forever or be free of challenges. It means it carries symbolic, initiatory, possibly transformative meaning. It could be that this man is a catalyst for a new cycle, a transition, or an awakening you have been postponing. He may stand not as a permanent partner, but as a messenger of a phase you must courageously traverse. Jung said symbols speak to the soul, and love, when true, is profoundly symbolic. The right person appears not to fill a void, but to activate a process. The signs the universe sends are invitations. Look within, observe your patterns, recognize what is emerging. Synchronicity is the mirror of the soul moving in the external world. If you feel his arrival is linked to something greater, ask yourself, how does this experience transform me? What part of myself has been awakened? What must I leave behind for this encounter to fully reveal itself? Sometimes the answer comes in dreams, other times in repeating symbols, and sometimes in the simple silence that accompanies the sense that everything is in its right place, even if the mind cannot grasp it. Listening for synchronicity is really listening to yourself. When you stop forcing answers and begin to observe, the universe responds. It responds through coincidences that touch the heart, encounters that disarm the ego, and truths that can no longer be ignored. Above all, it responds when you decide to be honest with yourself. If this man seems chosen, if signs multiply around him, if life seems to conspire to unite you, pause and observe. You stand before a symbolic mirror. It is not just about love, it is about destiny, but a destiny revealed only to those brave enough to listen with their soul. The universe speaks, yes, but it only listens to those willing to hear. On every journey of self-knowledge, relationships are not mere episodes, they are portals. And when someone enters our life with force, intensity, and meaning, Carl Jung's psychology teaches us to look beyond the surface. Perhaps he is the mirror of your shadow. Perhaps he activates your animus. Perhaps he reveals where projections still lie. Or perhaps he comes accompanied by synchronicities that defy logic and touch the soul. But the real question is never just about him. The real question is, what is this encounter revealing about me? The true one chosen by the universe is not he who promises fairy tale endings, but he who activates authentic beginnings within you. He may be the start of a new version of yourself, and that, in itself, is divine. If this content spoke to your heart, subscribe to the channel now and share this video with someone who needs to recognize the signs of their own soul. And don't forget, click the video appearing on your screen. It is the direct continuation of your transformation journey. The universe is speaking. The listening begins within you.